Some decks are obvious, such as Boros Energy being basically printed in Modern Horizons 3. There are some decks that need an unban to become a menace, but then there are some decks that just need for people to finally put the pieces together to realize what was possible. Orzhov Blink, sometimes called Orzhov Sewers, took the world by storm a couple of months ago. In this video we will take a look at the fascinating history of this deck so far, its rise to power, moments in the sun, and its inevitable fall from grace.
You just have to extend the head, and that's where
Raul taking the lead with Orzhov Blink.
Wow, the Spotlight Series Utrecht winner.
Let's begin with the obvious question. What is this deck, really? At its core, it's a flicker deck. You play Overlord of the Balemerc for its impending cost, then blink it with Flicker Wisp or Attack from Failure. Combine it with cards such as Solitude, Ephemerate, Recruiter of the Guard, Skyclave Apparition, Witch Enchanter, Fatal Push, and Thoughtseize, and you have answers for everything. Some people call the deck the new Death and Taxes, but only Aethervial and Flicker Wisp remains. Actually, the deck does not even play any taxes. December 2024 BNR announcement changed everything. There were 3 bans in Modern: the One Ring, Giganta, the Wellspring, and Amped Raptor. But more importantly for our story, there are some unbans as well. Whole 4 cards were unbanned in Modern: Green Sun Zenith, Mox Opal, Fatalist Looting, and Splinter Twin. And if you remember how broken Mox Opal is, you know where this story is going. But around the same time, the earliest version of Orzhov Blink came to be. Legends such as Hummingbird, Mean Fanny Pack, and the French Goblin were responsible for the earliest version. Thank you guys. But the most impactful person who popularized the deck was Supercrow12653. They won 2 Modern challenges with the deck, and thus the deck became super popular. Temur Breach deserves its own deep dive, but for the purposes of this video, the only thing you need to know is that ever since the unbans, the deck was on a rise, and in early 2025 it was a menace. The deck had some outstanding performances during this season. The craziest one was in RC Charlotte, where it put 6 copies into top 8, and it won the finals in hands of Jesse Robkin, the designer of the deck. But at the same time, Blink was rising too. It did not see any great results initially. In Prague, it did not have anyone in top 8. But in Ottawa, it placed 2nd, and in RC Portland, it was in top 8. And this brings us to the highlight of this deck, the GP in Europe, Spotlight Series Modern in Utrecht. But we must stock up a little before that. Aetherdrift brought a new tool for Blink, one that allowed it to fight off late game strategies and outvalue basically anything. Ketramose, the New Dawn. The essential part of this card is the card draw it provides, and thus the deck needed to adapt. The community split into several camps regarding the versions of the deck. Some stayed loyal to Aethervial plus Recruiter builds. Some, such as me, fully jumped on board the Ketra hype train. The main problem still stood: how to fight Temur Breach. Ideally in the main deck, of course. Ketramose wanted to exile cards, so Graveyard Hate was pushed into the main deck. Originally, cards such as Soul Guide Lantern, Ghost Vacuum, or Nile Spellbomb were considered. In the end, old school Relic of Progenitus became the real deal with Ketramose on board. To quickly run you through it, Ketra cares about each instance of exile from the battlefield and or graveyard. You activate Relic's first ability to exile a card from a graveyard, thus drawing a card. Then you activate its second ability, exiling the Relic itself, so drawing a card, and all graveyards, drawing a card, and drawing a card from the Relic itself. In the end, this results in 3 lives lost and 4 cards drawn just for 2 mana and the Relic. This also worked with the flicker effects in the deck and Emperor of Bones. The amount of interaction, card draw, and strong synergy made this deck a perfect choice to fight Temur Breach. The event was grandiose, the largest Spotlight series so far. Everyone knew that Breach was the deck to beat in this tournament. The metashare shows it was the most represented deck, It surpassed Boros Energy a long time ago, but the second most played deck was lagging behind just by a small amount. The quote-unquote counter to Temur Breach, Orzhov Blink. And I was there to experience it, fight the good fight. My final score was nothing crazy, but hey, I got a full promo, so I can at least remember the event. Top 8 of this event consisted of a wide range of decks, which was representative of the event's meta. Some called it FNM meta, which, to be fair, was quite understandable. In the quarterfinals were 2 Breach decks, 1 Eldrazi Ramp and 1 Brute Scale combo, Amulet Titan, Hollow One, Orzhov Blink, and out of all the possible decks, 1 Grixis Shadow. One of the Breach decks got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Hollow One, which can bring out some brutally aggressive starts if you get lucky, but it can also be quite anemic as we saw in the quarterfinals. The finals were Orzhov Blink in the hands of Roll Porian and Temur Breach in the hands of Alberto Machado, 2 decks that defined this event. Could Breach be beaten by its supposed counter? In the first game, we saw the interactive element of Orzhov Blink, 2 Tamios removed, 2 relics deployed, and then another counter card, Doughty Voidwalker, a clear counter to any graveyard shenanigans and a threat on board at the same time. The sideboard is only advantageous for Raul, as Alberto is only fishing for answers to the counters, but Raul can just add more hate to the main board. Cards such as Deafening Silence, Stony Silence, Thalia and Dreaded Magistrate. Raul now definitely has advantage. Second game was fascinating. Alberto was choking on mana and at one point almost lost his only land to Raul's Vindicate.
Okay, there's a counter.
But he managed to survive it thanks to a Swan Song from the top of his library. Somehow he clawed out of it and won the game, although he did not win via the combo. The last game was not the most interesting, both players had slow, weak hands, but Raul basically logged the game for Alberto. And what do you do when you know it's over? When you know you can't do anything?
You just have to extend the hand and that's
Raul. Raul taking the lead with Orzhov Blink.
Wow, the Spotlight Series Utrecht winner.
Blink finally did it. It managed to beat the boogeyman of the tournament. After the match, Paul Paragian confessed to a brutal thing that made me reconsider my whole Magic career.
Yeah, mostly Arena, but there's no Modern on Arena. Maybe at some point. So like literally I played this format a couple days ago the first time. But yeah, it worked out.
On the 31st of March, Underworld Breach was banned in Modern, thus ending this deck for good. It was a product of its time, 3 months of absolute dominance. Yet, in Utrecht, Roll Paragian managed to snatch the win in the field full of breaches. Blink still remained a strong deck, but it lost its Nemesis and energy was back on the rise. With the addition of Is It Prowess, thanks to Corey Steelcutter, Blink's slower, grindier gameplay fell out of favor. Orzhov Blink was never the flashiest deck, but for a brief moment it was the right deck, scrappy and brutally efficient. Those out there still sleeving up Thalia and Flickerwisp, this video is for you guys.